Hi guys, in this video we're going to look at the different tips that we use. We're going to look at what they're for and how to tell the right tip for your pump. So the tips go into these interchangeable heads. These are called a quick release connection. You just pull them back to put the tip in and you pull them back to let the tip out. The only exception to the rule is this one here, which is called a fixed tip. Okay. Now this fixed tip is for water blasting, especially matched to the pump to get the most amount out of the pump. And generally we use this for cutting in around concrete. If we're washing a concrete driveway, we might do the edge with this tip. Or if we're doing a roof wash, we might, something where we need a lot of pressure, we use this tip. But otherwise, we use all of these tips, okay? It's not very often we use that tip. So to quickly run through the different tips, you've got two different types of tips, right? You've got the chemical tips and you got the pressure tips, okay? So the difference is the chemical tips, when you use them, they're going to shoot chemical out with the help of the venturi. With the pressure tips, the way they work is they create pressure. Now, they create different degrees of pressure, okay? So depending on which one that you use, you'll either have a wide fan, or you'll have a very narrow fan, or you'll have a straight shot, okay? So to give you an example, this red tip here, this is a 0 degrees tip. So if you take a look in the top of it, you'll see there's just a round circle. And so what that means is when this is connected to the gun, this will shoot just a straight line of water straight out the top. If you put this in front of your hand, it'll cut through your hand, okay? So generally, this tip we use for cleaning out gutters. You might put it on the end of your short gun when you're at the top of a gutter, and you can just shoot a straight line of water out, and that will blow all the crap out of the gutters, okay? The next tip, this is a 15 degrees tip. So this tip is very similar to the fixed tip, okay? We use this tip if we're cutting in around on concrete, around the edges, areas that the whirlaway can't get to. It's a very narrow fan, it's not very wide, and it's very, very strong and very, very powerful. So the narrower the fan, the stronger they are, the wider the fan, the softer it is, okay? So as we work our way up, this one is a 25 degrees tip. This is also quite good for cutting in around, or you might use this on the top of the long lance, or you might use it on the top of the mega lance, where you might have a barge board that you want to get cleaned, and you need a little bit more pressure, and you need a little bit more focused. So this tip then, this is the tip that you use the most. This is called the white tip. It's a 45 degree tip. What that means is it's got a really wide fan, so it covers a large area. And when we're soft washing, this is what we use. We turn the pressure down on the tap, and we use this tip so it covers a large area. And so it's nice and gentle. It doesn't do any damage to the paintwork. And so this is the one that you want to be using all of the time. So this is the best tip. So then we move on to our chemical tips, okay? So the first one is this one here. This is called a Davis shooter tip, okay? The idea behind this tip is that it can shoot the chemical really, really high, okay? So far, we found it works okay. It depends on the pressure of your machine. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. The issue that we find with these is the wind can catch the chemical very easily. This tip here, this is called a sniper tip. This is also really good for shooting the chemical up quite high. This one has a slightly bigger hole than this one here, okay? And so what this does is, even though this doesn't allow us to get the chemical as high as this, it means that we can get more of it out and it's more concentrated. So there's less chance that the wind is going to take this. So this is the tip that we use a lot of the time for putting chemical on. It's really good for getting up high areas. It puts a lot of chemical on the building and it works really, really well, okay? So then this is your chemical tip, or the black tip. So this one is like the white tip, but for chemical. It's got a big, wide 45 degree spray, and it sprays out all over the building. If you're just putting chemical on a wall to wash it, or if you're doing like a white picket fence or white railing fence, or you're doing around a deck or somewhere where you want to put chemical on the wall, but it's not high. You want to get a lot of chemical. It's a big area, wide area. This is the tip you're going to use. So for putting chemicals on, these are your main two tips. This one is for getting up really high, so up 2 stories or 3 stories, underneath gutters, places like that. And then this is just for doing railings, decks, walls, anything where you're close by and you need a lot of chemical on. So to cover off the last thing, this is a soft washing tip. So you've got an adjustable head on this one here. And so this one, combined with this chemical tip, is for soft washing. Okay, these ones we're still in experimental mode with these. The idea is that this one sprays the chemical on, and then you swap over to this one here. So you start off, you spray the chemical on, and then once you're done, you swap over to this one here. You adjust the fan, and you wash with this one. Okay, so they're still experimental, but that's the David Shooter tip, and this is an adjustable fan tip. So there are all the different tips. You can take a look at the picture and just see what you think of all of them.